Hello, I've got hands, I've got gear, I'm Baymud, and this is the stuff I bought and sold in 2025. I did one of these for the first time last year, and it was fun. It was also the first time I was negatively called a gear tuber by an angry commenter, so there's that. Whatever the case, I enjoy seeing the gear decisions other folks make, as there are so many options and workflows these days, so I figured why not do another video of my own. Spoiler alert, I bought more than I sold this year. Oops. Some rules off the top. I won't count stuff that's been ordered but not yet received, and I'll probably miss a few things I let go of that were never mentioned on the channel before. I'm also not including anything that was sent for free, which is rare. Everything here is stuff I either traded for or paid for with my own cold hard maple syrup tokens. First up, I bookended the year with Zoom mixers, as I received the L6 in January and the L6 Max in November. Admittedly, had I known the L6 Max was going to be announced when I bought the original, I'd probably have just waited, but I still enjoy the extra portable size and simpler feature set of the original L6, so I'm happy to have both. It means I can have one set up for home recording and videos and the other for my live rig. Buying the L6 Max also meant I could finally let go of the Roland Octa-Capture USB interface I had been using for over a decade. It served me well, but I bought it back when I needed more outputs, and my setup has simplified over the years. I've also come to enjoy the 32-bit float recording of the Zoom units, so away it went. And even though it didn't quite hold its value, selling the Octa-Capture did help offset the cost of the L6 Max quite a bit, which is always nice. This next section is a bit of a journey, but try to keep up. To start, at the beginning of the year, I traded my OPZ. I liked using it, but it had begun to show the signs of the dreaded double triggering bug, something Teenage Engineering denied knowing about when I reached out to them for a possible fix, which seems strange, given how widespread and well-documented that problem has been. In the end, instead of a fix, they gave me a good deal on a brand new OPZ, which I foolishly couldn't resist. So, if you're keeping score, I let go of one OPZ because I bought another one. Don't worry, it was all for naught, as in the end, I didn't keep either of them. The OPZ remains one of my favorite portable units in terms of creative workflow and UI, but I couldn't help but look at the new unit as a ticking time bomb. When was it going to bend or do the double triggering like the other one? The whole scenario left a bad taste in my mouth. I had lost confidence in the build quality, which made me not want to use it, so I traded the new one away too. For the first one, I fully disclosed the odd occurrence of double triggering and received a Sonicware Liven XFM as part of a larger trade. Overall, the XFM was a fun device that made for a brief distraction from other priorities. However, while I liked some of the sequencing and unique sound design options, I found it both a bit too limited and confusing at the same time. Maybe it's just me, but I have zero patience for the mysteries of FM synthesis, and any unit that requires a secondary overlay to explain it is not likely to last long in my studio. There are some exceptions, I'm sure. In any case, off it went. As for the brand new OPZ, that one took a while to find a home for. I had it listed for the lowest price in all of the Greater Toronto area and had very few bites. So when someone nearby seemed interested in trading for their Pladask Baklengs pedal, I jumped at the chance. I'm enjoying the granular delay aspect of this boutique Norwegian box, but I've only used it sparingly so far. It was also featured in one of my lowest viewed videos recently, where I used it with my Hohner Pianet T, but maybe it will redeem itself next year. Speaking of expensive boutique pedals, they're usually something I try to avoid, as I enjoy building pedals too, but 2025 really tested that resolve. Case in point, I began the year by receiving my first Chase Bliss pedal, the Onward. I picked it up as part of their big mystery box promotion, which had the unintended consequence of also introducing me to the recent trend of FOMO-based marketing that seems to be increasingly common with smaller brands. See the limited order period for the Chase Bliss Lost and Found, or the recent Game Changer Recoder announcement, but more on both of those when they arrive. Oops. Snark aside, the Onward quickly found a home in both my live rig and recording setup, as I've used its glitchy ambience to add life to all kinds of material this year. It can be unwieldy and challenging in the most creative ways, imparting imperfections and organic textures on vocals, guitar, synths, and entire mixes. Would I recommend it as a first pedal for anyone? No. But to round out a suite of otherwise standard options, definitely. The Onward is arguably my most consistently used piece of gear in 2025. Of course, funding fancy pedals can sometimes mean selling something else. Case in point, I let go of the Korg reissue of the Vox Continental keyboard I had kicking around. In the end, it sounded good and had some decent features, which I showcased in a video earlier this year, but I liked it more than I actually used it, as the project I had acquired it for doesn't play much anymore. I've also got a lot of those sounds in smaller form factors, so it seemed like a good idea to free up space and cash for other things. In terms of sound design, lately I've been more interested in smaller esoteric boxes that might complement something like the Deluge, either via multitembrality or as inspiring sample fodder. That leads me to two more acquisitions this year, starting with the Fred's Lab Töörö synth module, Töörö, which I picked up secondhand via a synth group on Facebook, gear deals and trades being pretty much the only thing keeping me on that platform. A 6-voice, 4-part, multi-timbral wavetable polysynth, the Töörö is a tiny powerhouse of fun sound design that pairs well with something like the Deluge, which can sequence each part individually. I've used it in a few jams and live sets over the year, and I've only really scratched the surface of sound design possibilities, so hopefully more to come, but I'm enjoying it so far. In contrast to the Töörö, which is poised as a supportive sound design companion to something like the Deluge, the other little synth I picked up on a whim was the SOMA Labs Rumble of Ancient Times 8-bit noise synth, which is pure standalone chaos. Someone nearby was selling the RoAT for a good price, so I jumped on it to see if I'd get along with it more than the SOMA Lyra 8 I've also got. The jury's still out on which one of those I prefer, and expect a video on that later, but so far I'm really enjoying the destructive flexibility of the RoAT and hope it will inspire some samples and loops over the coming year. This brings us to the gluttonous MIDI guitar portion of the video. As anyone following the channel this year will know, I became a bit obsessed with integrating guitar and synths. That ongoing journey saw me acquire a few used oddities in 2025, like the Yamaha EZ AG and the URock YRG 1000, both of which are curious button-based guitar-like instruments that are maybe more fun than practical, but were very cheap used locally. They've each been featured in dedicated videos, but time will tell if they both stick around. However, the more considered investment in that realm was the Fishman TriplePlay Connect MIDI pickup that I bought brand new and installed on my Telecaster. It has definitely been the most successful in helping me merge instrument worlds, but have I achieved my goals of full guitar synth fusion? Not quite. Though it has been a fun pursuit, so likely more of that to come, and hopefully some practical examples of the sort of sounds or workflow I've been after. Oh, I guess I should also mention the CME H4MIDI with wireless WIDI core I grabbed on sale to help connect the TriplePlay pickup to other gear. I've only scratched the surface with what the H4MIDI can do in terms of routing and presets, but it's been pretty useful and intuitive so far. MIDI utility boxes always come in handy at some point, so I'm sure we'll be seeing more of the H4MIDI soon, unless something more useful comes along to usurp it. Geez, I really did pick up a lot of stuff in 2025, didn't I? I'd be lying if I said I didn't already have other things on the way too, but I'm always moving things in and out of the studio as different gear inspires me in different ways. Time will tell if all the stuff I accumulated this year will stick around, but for now, I'm having fun and making noise, which is all that matters, right? What did you buy or sell this year? Anything I mentioned here that you'd like to see more of in future videos? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.